Hey peeps, Ingrid Marsh here, aka the Badass Girl for Unleash Your Inner Badass campaign, equipping you with badass inspiration, motivation and radical self-love tools to help you leave the factory and live a more fulfilling life. Anyway, today guys, is Badass Gal Updates. Hey peeps, welcome back. So, updates for this week. So, if you've been on the website, have a check it out, unleashyourinnerbadass.tv. And I've done a wonderful interview with a lady by the name of Karen Witt. Karen is a life coach, wellbeing life coach, and a social worker, who was bereaved by suicide 6 years ago, leaving herself and two young children aged 4 and 6. But what's badass about this interview, despite her unthinkable loss, is the way Karen fought back. The way she said things like, I wasn't going to become a victim. She actually said to me, like, Ingrid, I decided this was my life, this is my children's life, and I wasn't going to go down that rabbit hole of playing victim, which I just think is super badass, because it could have felt like that, couldn't it? Because it's such a big old deal, so much stigma attached to it. But she was going to push that stigma away. She was going to stand up to that. And she was going to decide how her life was going to go forward from here. She actually said that she redefined herself there afterwards. And she's so, I'm saying it all like this, like all aggressively, but she's so gentle, she's so lovely, she's one of those gentle badasses. But there's so much to be learnt from that interview, whether you've been through that or not. Because what it says, my darling, is that we do get those big old blows. She describes the rug being pulled from underneath her feet. And we've had that, don't we, in other areas of life where you just feel like where has that come from? So for myself, I know there's been times where just like, I'm on my face. How am I going to come back from this? And it's how you deal with those blows, because those blows are coming, do you know what I mean? But the defining factor is, how do you deal with them when they come along? And there's a thread, I think, amongst all the women I've interviewed so far, is how they dealt with those adversities. So really inspirational, some awesome lessons to learn from that. So do make sure you log onto the website to listen to that. This Sunday, I'm going to be releasing a video between myself and a lady called Josie Hoff. Now, Josie had massive body confidence issues, body confidence issues. And, sometimes I think this problem is actually bigger than maybe even I care to imagine. And she tells you where it took her, how low things got, and how bad things got for her. But for me, the badassery in Josie was that point when she turned around and said, I've just felt like this for the last 10, 15 years. I don't want to go the next 10, 15 years feeling like this. And that's when she got badass about it and just totally changed her life. And I say we've got to get badass about it, my darlings, because the machine we're fighting against is so huge. The naysayers are so big. The magazine, the medias, everything that's forcing us into a hole and forcing us into conforming and feeling bad about ourselves. So you have to get badass about it to knock those walls down. Do you know what I mean? I just think all this whooshy, woo-woo stuff ain't getting you nowhere. Do you know what I mean? And so I changed my life around. I got badass about it. So you know what? I'm not doing this no more. I'm done. I've had enough, and got badass about it. So it's called that reason why I say unleash your inner badass for a reason. It's so we can do that, to knock down those walls, my darlings, and change our lives and live a more fulfilling life and live the life that we've been put on this earth to live, for crying out loud. Really balancing for you. Going to be on the website this Sunday, so make sure that you're following me for that. If you're watching this on Instagram, turn on post notifications to make sure you are updated when that video is released. Lots to be learned from that. So my darlings, for more badass tips and inspirations, don't forget to follow or subscribe depending on where you're watching this. Check out.